All right. Hello and welcome back. I'm here once again with Preston Jacobs. I feel like Carmine when I say that. I think I've heard it too many
How
times.
are you?
Once
How are you?
again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, always a good time. We're talking about episode 6 today. This had a lot of like tonal shifts that I really liked,
Mm.
like kind of riding the wave.
I completely agree. In fact, I would say I was going to say my primary criticism of it. It's not that I didn't enjoy each scene individually, because I
Hmm.
did. I think each scene individually was great. The fun of having Matt run into Tom and at the bar, like that was really fun. The Egwene's vision quests, that's very interesting. The very rough evil scenes with the
This
I don't even know what
attack,
to call them now, like because they're
the
not really dark lords, right? They're like wannabe dark lords.
the Forsaken,
They're
these
wannabe forsakens. Is that the idea?
which
I'm
people
talking
are
about
we
the
talking
bad
about?
the bad Aes Sedai, the evil Aes Sedai,
Oh,
and
okay,
the
okay.
girl with the
Yeah.
short bangs.
So baby bangs.
Yes,
They are in world they're called the Black Aja.
the Black Aja.
Yeah. So just the dark friend Aes Sedai. Yeah.
Yeah, so I liked all of the scenes individually, but I do. In fact, I even thought that scene where Rand is fighting the dude at the end, and he's in the foreground, and in the background you can see like the blocks fall on him. Beautifully filmed, beautifully filmed. I think that editing was the major problem with this episode,
Ah,
editing
okay.
and framing. And so you're saying like there's tonal shifts. I think that that was a problem. And I'm
Okay.
just thinking how like the episode begins with this flashback to Leandrin's like life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, oh, this should be a Leandrin focused episode, or at least she should be in the
I see what you're
majority of it.
saying. Yeah.
And so we're framing the episode as Leandrin focused, and then she's barely fucking in the episode. Like she's here and there, sending magic bullets into people's heads. But like for the most part, it's not that. Like it's not that at all. It's
So
mostly,
yeah, with the opening, it kind of sets the expectation that it's going to be this Leandrin focused episode. And I would say it's more about, I guess, these forces of the shadow doing like their own thing. And I don't know that there's so many like twists in terms of allegiances in this episode where it's like where, who,
right.
what.
Absolutely. You get this opening, and you're, you know, and we bring back our favorite Swede,
Oh,
for his
yeah.
for 2 seconds. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, like you'd hope that this new information reframes how you see Leandrin and the rest of the story going forward. But it doesn't really reframe how we see Leandrin, and it doesn't change anything in the episode. Like she's continuing on doing her thing. It's not really new information. It's great, you know. But like as a framing device, like what was the point of it?
Yeah,
Um,
they could have put that flashback in really anywhere, and maybe I don't know, like, what did you feel was the strongest aspect of this episode? Like, maybe they could have, like, began and ended on a more, like, circular.
I mean, I think the strongest aspect of this episode is Egwene and Rand finally coming head to head and confronting each other about Lanfear and who he is as the dragon reborn and the relationship. I mean, they have a big conversation about one, like, are they going to break up? What's the deal with
Mhm.
Lanfear? Did he know that Lanfear was torturing her? Do you think I'm going to go crazy and mad? Like Rand has a lot of conversations with, has a pretty intense conversation with Rosamund Pike about that and about like his future and destiny. I think those are probably the most intense scenes, and really framing about it should be related to that. I think if you're going to have
Yeah.
the Leandrin scene, put that at the season opener or something, put that like at the very beginning, or an
Yeah.
episode that has Leandrin more in it. Maybe not, maybe not the season
Yeah.
opener, isn't that where they have the big battle? Maybe the second episode or something. But considering that the episode, like the episode's main thrust, like the
Mhm.
main climax of the episode is the Rand battle and him having this, which comes right after his big conversation that he has, the we need to talk moment between Egwene and Rand,
Yeah.
and that was great. That's a really great climax. Has nothing to do with like
Leandrin.
Leandrin. Um,
I think the standout for me was not even I liked the battle, like, it was really fun watching him. So he's already in this really vulnerable state because of what just happened with Egwene, and then he kind of gets jumped by, the baddies, just kind of burst the door
mhm.
down. And
Which
he
I guess it kind of I understand why they did that. I mean, if you've ever been in a I mean, if you've ever been in an argument with a significant other or in a breakup, the argument always lingers and keeps going on after you're both exhausted, and you're like, where is this conversation even going? Can we just stop it?
right?
Um, Thank goodness, like somebody came in to attack him.
Just in the nick of the time. Oh, what
If
time is
only that
it?
happened every time we were in fights with a significant other.
Right. I really enjoyed though how, so like one of the things about like Rand being able to like use this magic, use the one power, it hasn't really fully been explained that like a lot of people or some people can just use it when they're in like an emotionally heightened state. And
Ah,
so Lanfear is really toying with him emotionally and psychologically because she's saying, like you're good and you're bad, you're light, you're dark, you're good, you're evil. I accept all of you. So he's got that, it's already primed in his head like maybe I am bad, maybe I am, you know.
is she? Is she? You know how like the Emperor is trying to rile Luke up into going to the dark side. Is Lanfear also? Is it her master plan to rile up Egwene and rile up Rand so that he taps into more of his power?
I think it's a definite possibility. Yeah, I think so. I think her main goals are get them separated, and I mean, she even tells Moiraine that. She's like, you know, like, "I told you to separate them," and Maureen's like, "Girl, how am I supposed to do that? Like, put her in timeout, like, be for real, be serious."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But him being in this emotional state put him in a position where he was able to, like, kind of go, like, beast mode because that's kind of just, like, how the magic works
Mm,
sometimes. And so he's able to kill this guy that Lanfear's been beefing with this whole time, so now he's out of the way for her, so she got what she wanted there. He also has this, like, display where it's scary, like, he's overreacting, he's, like, pumping the body of this dead child full of the one power, and everybody's in the background like, "Whoa," and so, like, she's pushing him and Egwene away in that aspect too,
yeah.
because Egwene, like you
He's like,
said,
we
she
talked, Liv. We talked about growing squash. Nah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I understand why all of those scenes about eating
Right.
squash and growing squash were added. Like now I get it. Like it led up to this. I understand now. Yes.
Uh, gotta have the squash. But I don't know, this is so you know how, like, in Game of Thrones, Arya has her death list that she's always
Mhm.
rattling off? In the books, Rand does something similar, only it's, like, the people that were killed because of him, like the
Oh, that he
innocent
needs to
victims.
remember. Yeah, that they're
Yeah,
gonna torture him.
exactly. And so, like, this is like the beginning, I would say, of his like second arc in the book where you start to see things shift in terms of how he sees himself and really starting to question how he needs to be emotionally to be who he is. And so, I don't know, like, for me, like, I know where it's going, so, like, that scene, I was like, "Oh, we're getting there, we're getting, like, that side of him that starts to get really, really intense," and, I mean, it's almost hard to watch in a way, like, knowing where it goes, but
Mhm.
he did a great job. The CGI was fun. The, thought the dialogue was pretty good, where he's, saying, "I
Do
am
you know
creation, I
what
am
this,
destruction."
you know what this episode, reminded me of though?
What?
And so people have told me, and again, I've only read the first book, but the
Mhm.
first book I felt was pretty light in tone and pretty
Yeah.
fun, and it includes a pretty classic Dungeons and Dragons party that they largely cut down, in the series, and the series also starts a lot darker than the book. The book,
Mhm.
it's much more innocent, and people say like, well, that's the whole thing, is that like you start at two rivers, and like you're this innocent young kids, and then they grow up, and it gets darker as you go. But the show is kind of like, well, they're near adults in Two Rivers, and it's a
Yeah.
dark show from the start, and we're Perrin's killing his wife accidentally and shit like that. But
No.
one of the lighthearted aspects of that first book was the role of Tom,
Mm.
and I was surprised that they cut Tom for the most part. I mean, they meet him briefly, right?
Yeah.
In first season, but I was surprised that they cut Tom from their traveling party, because he's like the bard in their traveling party, or
Right.
the Dragons traveling party, and I was surprised they cut him to only have like a cameo, but now it's nice to have him back again. Um, but it's strange because it's almost like there's more levity in this episode, even though there's dark parts. It seems like there's more levity in this episode
Right.
than there was in first season. Like
Yeah. I think too that I mean, a lot of it, I know, like, in book 1, like, you get, like, Dark Matt because he's, like, got the dagger, and
mhm.
he's kind of insufferable, but, I mean, he's, like, consumed by, like, some eldritch terror of
Yeah,
whatever this dagger is. Matt, where he is now, is so enjoyable, where, like
it is quite backwards, that, and this is
Mhm.
Robert Jordan's fault, I guess, but it's like before you even get to know Matt, you've made him into Dark Matt, and then once Dark Matt has been lifted, we actually get to find out who Matt is, and it's
Yeah.
like, that's the kind of odd thing, and I've experienced it, at least through the show, where you're like, oh man, I've
Mhm.
got this like Dark Matt, and now all of a sudden, 3 seasons in, I find out who Light Matt is.
Yeah,
Um,
I personally didn't enjoy Matt until, like, book 3, and I was like, "Oh, okay, now I see why people like him. Got
yeah,
it."
but I suppose that is Robert Jordan's kind of
Yeah,
error on that.
and I think too with the first book, um, he was trying to appeal to people who were already into fantasy, so, like, the easiest way to do it was, like, we're gonna go with a very whimsical Lord of the Rings style book, and then as it sells and he's like, book 2, book 3, he's like, "Alright, now
Mm,
I can finally move it towards what I really, like, envision for it," and I mean, personally, that's what I think. I mean,
yeah.
don't quote me on that, but
But I suppose it's sort of, I mean, if there's another analogy, it's kind of like, you've seen the Avengers with Hawkeye. We hardly get to know Hawkeye, and then he's possessed for an entire movie. And it's like,
Uh,
is he acting funny? I don't know. I don't know if this is how he acts normally.
right, who is he? Who is he?
Right.
I did like too Elaine's impromptu dance number. That was enjoyable.
Yes. I do think that it was a fine song. I do think it was a little weird that they come back Like the later
They're
characters
still
coming in, they're
singing.
singing the same song. Like you could have just gone with just one other song. Like one other song as they're coming in. You know, it doesn't have to be a good one. But why would they be singing the same song like over and over and over again? I mean, you
Just
know,
on repeat.
it's a fun scene. It was very weird being everybody like, oh, I love that song. Let me rub my nipples. Like, everybody's dance move was rubbing their own nipples.
No, I mean the actress that plays Elaine, like I don't know, like I loved it. When she realizes like the double entendre of it, and then she kind of like has that moment of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And Tom kind of gives her a smirk, but like her and Tom, so you caught how like Tom was saying like he recognized her right off the bat and was
Yeah.
like, I worked in her mother's court. And it's like, oh, like you get so close to like a big reveal, and then it's like, no, that's all you get.
Oh,
Just a little
that they have this
taste.
huge backstory together, and it's just like a little,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I have to assume because Elaine's mother is cast, she's in the story. If they do eventually go to season 4, that will become, like, a relevant plot line, and maybe even, like, not major, but, like, more of, like, a peripheral plot line. But I don't know, Tom's, like he's got that whole, like, "I'm the most interesting man in the world" vibe going on. Like, it's just good to
Yeah,
see him.
I drink Dos Equis. Yeah. The,
Yeah.
I mean, he was funny though. I mean, that line where it's just like, "That's my friend," you know, like it came off pretty funny. But so that, you know, that was all great. But then it's like interspersed with these very intense scenes of, you know, them giving up the bracelet, and then the supposed sex scenes between, or the sexy scenes. I don't know if they have sex, but Perrin and
Fail, yeah.
Aiel, the
Mhm.
sexy scenes where you're supposed to be like, oh, things are getting hot and heavy between Perrin and Fail. Um,
I'm I'm actually really pleased with the actress that they chose for Fail. Like, she's a very, I would say, controversial character. Like, a lot of people don't like the book character.
oh, what's wrong with Fael?
Well, it's like their relationship becomes, like, physical, like, not, like,
Mm.
violent, like, they're not beating the crap out of each other, but there's, like, slapping and spanking at times, like, unconsensual
Thus they got
spanking.
this actress that kind of just oozes sex. You know, like she's a very sexy actress and is playing it all very sexy. You know, and she's like the only one with a foreign accent, which is all which they've clearly done to make her more sexy, right? You know,
Maybe, maybe, but she's very intense too. Like, she's intense, but a little bit playful, kinda
yeah.
smizey.
So I looked up where she was from because I was like, huh,
She's
it's really interesting.
Italian,
She's the only
yeah.
one with a foreign accent. I'm saying like not the actress where she's from,
Oh,
like where the
oh,
character's from.
got it.
And you know, they like list various characters, you know, who are from here. And I was like, oh, this character's from there. So one of the Aes Sedais. And then I look up the Aes Sedai and I was like, she doesn't have an accent. I don't understand.
Do you remember which one it was?
Just one of the old lady Aes Sedais that they talk to only in
Okay.
like one episode.
So, like,
It's not,
random, yeah.
yeah, it's not really that important. I do not remember, but
The
um,
names are hard.
I mean, I looked up like her land. I mean, I can look it up real quick here.
Yeah, go for it.
Aiel's kingdom, or land, is it kingdom?
Saldea, I
Oh
think.
yes, yeah. And then I was like, characters from Saldea, and um, Sheriam.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right. So I looked up and I was like, Sheriam doesn't have an accent, but
No. Mm-mm.
I get it, you know, like the whole thing is like, okay, we need to establish a a relationship. We need to establish like sexual tension. We need to establish, you know, this connection. Let's get this very sexy actress to be as, you know, seductive as possible for the screen. We're gonna go with Isabella Buccieri, who I think is
Yeah.
Italian, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she is. Pretty
yeah.
sure.
So,
I don't know. Next episode, the teaser for it is already out. It should be the big Perrin episode, the big battle episode.
oh, we're gonna have a big battle, as if they haven't shoved enough battles in.
You think? Were there well, yeah, it opens with one and then yeah, Forsaken battles. Yeah, this one, I mean, this is probably one of my favorite plot lines from the book. This Two Rivers plot,
Okay.
where like everything kind of culminates and you get like the big actual battle because in the books that first battle in the Two Rivers you don't see it like you hear that it happens and then you're kind of like with Rand and his dad off somewhere else and then you show up, but this
I
is
was
like
very surprised that the White Cloaks got such little time this episode. I mean, there's just kind of one
ah,
scene where the
the
I guess he's
peddler.
pretending to be the other group is pretending to be White Cloaks. I imagine they killed some White Cloaks and took their cloaks.
Yeah, yeah, that's the guy from the first battle in season 1 that brought the Trollocs in. He was
Right.
pretending to be
Yeah.
the peddler, and so he's back, that sociopath is
Right.
back
I don't know why
again.
they'd fall for him being a White Cloak. Like you can you recite any of our like codes? What regiment are you? Do you have like,
Right.
who did you train under? Like, some real basic questions would have probably unraveled this really quick.
Oh, pot on Fain. I mean, I will give this actor some like some props here because he does unhinged so well. Like,
Mm,
but I mean that's another okay, that's another character who has probably the most interesting weird backstory I think possible and out of all of the characters he's one of those characters where it's like where we get like this Leandrin flashback. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but like that's the guy who I would love for them to kind of like dissect
yeah.
because
Because you said the Leandrin stuff is a show creation, right? Leandrin does not have a baby in the books and all of that.
not
Yeah.
that we know of,
So
no.
she's just kind of we don't really know why she goes evil. I mean, here it seems to be like she goes evil because there's a promise to protect her baby, and then of some sort.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, Ishamael is so he started the Black Aja. So like that was like his special baby. Like he went around getting these women to kind of infiltrate the White Tower and now he's out of the picture. She has a new boss, I guess. But
Yeah.
I think though with Pot on Fane, do you remember in season 1 where Matt gets the dagger in,
Mhm.
like, that town? So well, yeah, you read the book. So, like, Pot on Fane merges with, like, this eldritch entity. It's not really a human, and he kind of, like, body melds with it in a way, soul melds with it, but he's also been distilled by the Dark One, so he's, like, 3 different things combined into one, and that's why he's so unhinged. But man, like that's a really fun story. Like that would be such a strong choice if they want to bring in more of like these more like esoteric parts of the story. Like Rhuidean, episode 4, incredible. Like I'm
Mm.
sure a lot of people still believe like that's going to be the best episode that we get. And so, I don't know, like, I enjoy when they bring that kind of more, like,
Yeah.
weird type stuff in because it's not such a stereotypical, like, fantasy thing, I guess. A little bit more sci-fi, a little bit more
Yeah, I mean,
something.
I think it even goes beyond that. I mean, I think episode 4 felt like a story in and of itself.
Yeah,
Like
very
I say, this
cohesive.
one, even the like beginning with the weird framing device and then ending, I think they're just walking in the woods, and then they kind of look down and say, "Oh, they're coming," and then
The
that's like, then it
Trollocs.
just goes to black, and I'm like, "Well, that's a
Yeah.
weird place to end the episode." It's just kind of like you ran out of film. It was probably one of the weakest endings I've ever seen. Like you probably should have just ended it with the Rand stuff or whatever.
Ah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Like it wasn't like they were going for these great shock endings, and then all of a sudden they do this like very short little tack on of them walking through the woods, and
They gotta
that's
get
the
people
end.
primed for that battle, I guess.
I guess, but had they showed like a bigger army or something, or maybe if the people saying like maybe if they looked more afraid or something, but they're just like,
Mhm.
oh, battle's coming. Okay.
Battle's coming.
Oh, yeah.
So you probably wouldn't put this one in, like, your top picks.
Um, no, and like I say, I do think each scene individually is really great. It's not that
Mhm.
like, each scene didn't achieve like the Bang Lady coming in and glamoring
Ah,
Nynaeve, and that's really intense. It was a really intense scene. The Leandrin giving bullets to the head, that woman getting her cheekbones crushed in. I mean, there's a lot of really intense scenes. You know, you know, be it sexy time with Perrin, sure. Like the Battle of Rand, the arguments between Egwene and Rand, like each of those things, that very intense conversation with Moiraine and Rand. Each of those scenes by itself are great. There was some ordering and editing problem that didn't make it a cohesive. It wasn't tonally consistent. It
okay.
didn't tonally flow into each other.
See,
Where
that's interesting. Like, I totally see what you're saying, but when I watched it, I was like, "Oh, this reminds me of the books where, like, one chapter you're, doing something
Oh, so you're
silly,
saying
and
it's
then,
being
like."
very faithful.
That's what I that's what I thought, because it's like every time you jump from a new point of view, like you're in a new location, somebody's, in trouble over here, somebody's doing something wild over here, and then you'll have like, something really, really intense. But yeah, like maybe that was just for me why I was like, "Oh, like it feels very nostalgic."
Well, for example, okay, we go from, for example, at around the 43-minute mark, we go from sexy time with Perrin, and then we go into fun time at the bar, and then we go to crushing woman's cheekbones, then to um, getting the wristbands,
Yeah.
and so that's like quite a jump. You're going like
Yeah.
sexy, fun, then all of a sudden scary, and then scary again because we just saw what she could do. I suppose
Whirlwind of
now it's more
emotions.
suspense, right? It's more suspense
Yeah.
from horror than suspense. So I don't know if I would have ordered it. Ordered it specifically like that. Maybe I would have gone crushing cheeks, but cheekbones, then sexy time, then fun, then suspense. So I don't know, but
Do you think one of the issues just might be that they have to get these sequences in somewhere and there's not enough time to like,
yes,
oh,
I mean I do think that they have various because plot elements. Like she needs to
mhm.
ask where the who's got the bands, and she has to they have to get the bands, and then she has to visit them after they
Yeah.
get the bands. Things like that. It has to be in a certain order. It's true, but man, it may be yeah, it's tough. Oh, there's a lot. I guess like going back and forth to sexy time like 3 times. So, I'm just mapping out the episode and everything. Oh well. No, it was a good episode. It was fine, but yes, do I don't think I liked it as much as last episode. Certainly not much as episode 4. Um,
Okay.
and then we're like, well, what does it compare to? You know, um, episodes 1 to 3, it's like watched at the same time, so they kind of run together.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's true. I think I don't know. One was the battle, the big Aes Sedai battle. Two was the introduction of the queen.
Mm.
3 was more like politicking in the White Tower. Yeah, and then there's only 2 left. So we've got
I can't believe we're almost to the end. Is there any news? Have you been hearing any news on season 4? They still haven't announced the
we
renewal?
still haven't announced it. I mean, people were assuming that it would get announced closer to when they were, like, still filming season 3, so over a year ago, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't wanna be, like, doomer about it, but, like, I don't know. I don't know.
These unfinished series. These
I
unfinished
don't
series.
know. Yeah, like, I mean, it would be tragic coming after, like, this is, I think right now, like, one of their highest rated shows that they have,
Mm,
like, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's at, like, 97% for the critic score, which is, like, that's, I mean, that's really high, and I mean, that's not always, you can't always trust, like, Rotten
right,
Tomatoes.
right. Because a lot of like who are people watching? That's the real question.
Right, right, and I know that in terms of, like, revenue, they're doing pretty much on par with, uh, Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power,
Mm,
which is quite good because they have, like, the IP strength, even if,
it's
it's
not
not.
near. Oh, yeah, they're not spending nearly as much.
Right, right, like, there's Wheel of Time is like pennies compared to what they're spending for Rings of Power, which is just wild, like, I mean, and I mean, obviously, Rings of Power, like, you can tell they put money into it, like, visually, there's a lot of, like, nice things to look at, but I don't know. It would be really interesting to see what they could do with Wheel of Time with a much higher budget and with, like, 2 more episodes per season, but I don't know why their, like, cutoff is always 8. I don't, that's just what they do for whatever reason.
You're like, guys, we got a lot of books to get through. Okay, we got to get these episodes
Get
out.
it rolling.
Okay, I mean, we got 10 more. We got to do 10 more seasons. Where Rand is 55 years old at the ending. Um,
Yeah. I don't know, though, I'm looking forward to the reaction from next episode, like, it'll be, like, their first, like, battle episode where it's, like, season 1, they were supposed to have one, but then COVID kind of, like,
mhm, mhm.
ruined that. So, like, this will really be, like, the first one where it's not like a big magic battle, like, actual people using weapons.
Right,
So
right.
it's nice to get to see, like, how they establish that and how they put their spin on things when it's something a little bit new for the show.
What a lot of people forget is that Game of Thrones season 1 cut their big battle, but
Yeah,
they cut the Green Fork, and we didn't see it.
that's
And
true.
and obviously they made up for it later by including all these massive battles. But that first season, the one big battle that's in a Game of Thrones is the Green Fork, and they cut it. So
Well, I mean, their budget wasn't huge for season 1, so, I
yeah.
mean, it takes, I mean, a lot of tricks to be able to present the show that you want and keep everything within budget.
Mhm.
So, I mean, stuff like that happens, but I don't think that
Knock
that
knock
tarnished.
Rand on the head with a, and then he wakes up later and he's like, "The battle's over." Oh,
We have a pull a Tyrion moment.
yeah,
Doesn't that
it's
happen in the books though too, or d
no.
no? Okay.
Not.
Didn't
That's how they dealt with it in the show, is they knocked him on the head and he woke up and the battle's over. And you're like, "Oh, that's."
fake out. I mean, it's oh my god. I mean, it's been like, what, 13 years? How long has it been since Dance came out?
2011. Yeah, season 1 was also 2011. So the dance came out like 2 weeks into the season 1.
That's how long it's been since I've read any of the Game of Thrones books. And I mean, I always think like I'll go back, like it's time to reread them, and then I start and I'm just like, but isn't this just going to make me sad?
Oh, I should correct that. I'm sorry. Dance was finished 2 weeks into season 1, and it came out after the season had finished. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I have to correct myself. That it was published for people to buy it after the season
Okay.
1 was over, but George had finished it 2 weeks in, so he was
Man,
clearly trying to finish it by the time of the premiere, and then went over a couple weeks.
are you getting excited for Dunk and Egg?
Yeah, no, I think Dunk and Egg's gonna be really good.
Me too. Me too.
Dunk and Egg is really, really excellently written. It's one of George's best stories. It's just really, really
Agreed.
fantastic. But
Agreed.
what it the only thing is that, like, when people are like, oh, what secrets are here and there, I'm like, well, in the text there's not many. George was just kind of writing, so like all of this stuff about like Blackfire lore and stuff like that, George hadn't
Yeah.
come up with it. And so this was just like pretty straightforward, a tournament. And he hints that there's a grand puppet master to everything, but you have no clue who that puppet master would be. He just put it in as a mystery box.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what's is the Mystery Night the last one?
Mystery Night's the last one, yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of people like that one because it's like, oh, like there's twists and turns. And it's good, but like I don't know, I just recently reread them all and like, man, the what's the second one? Sworn
The Sworn
Sword.
Sword. That's probably my favorite,
It
weirdly enough.
it's good. It's really good. I remember the first time I read it, I was like, "Okay, like, yeah, this is fine." But I think I was searching for more of, like, something with, like, the same Game of Thrones feel. So on my first read through the Mystery Night, I was like, "Alright, that's cool." Going back, The Sworn Sword, I'm like, "You know what? That might be the one for
The Sworn
me."
Sword has the best character work.
It's
You
so
really
good.
feel who Rowan is and who Eustace is and Dunk, and you feel like the character work and the emotions of them. Hedge Knight's also very good. I mean, you get to know who Dunk is,
Yeah.
but everybody else is just kind of flash in the pan. Like, he meets the Laughing Storm, and he's like, "Oh, ha, ha, let's go fighting." And then you meet like the Fossways for a second, and they're like, "You called me a red apple Fossway. I'm going to be a green apple Fossway."
Oh,
And
it's
then
delightful, though.
it is, but
Yeah.
you don't get the intense character work of the
Yeah.
Sworn Sword, which is, and
Well, yeah, like, you go into it thinking, that Eustace, like, he's a very sympathetic old guy, and you've got Brown is it Brown Bennis just talking shit
Mhm.
about the guy, and you're like, "Ugh, him." Then come to find out, like, the backstory is not what you thought, and he sided with one, she sided with the other, and like that's I don't know, it's not like big earth-shattering twists or anything, but it's just like really
Right.
good
The
character work.
stakes are really low.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like some like the fate of some freaking minor houses, a landed
yes.
night, like, who cares?
But it's so good. I
I
mean, like,
know, I
it
know.
turns out and then, like, the true villain of this story is, like, Bennis, who, like, robs them and runs off, and you're like,
Yeah, I love
"Okay."
it.
The true villain. Uh, but I
Yeah,
digress. It's good stuff. I don't
yeah.
know. Was there any more Wheel of Time stuff that you wanna touch on?
No, no,
Okay.
I think we're good. I'm now looking forward to seeing how they're wrapping this all up. You think there's gonna be a huge battle coming up, and then we gotta wrap the season, which
Yeah.
you're saying it wraps book 4? Is that where we're at? Or are they already into book
No,
5?
this should be pretty much like the end of book 4.
Okay.
So, I mean, we've got like this battle for the two
Mhm.
rivers, and the preview for that showed nothing but that location. So it's
Okay.
like it's looking pretty like singular focus for this next
When does the slog begin? Is that like book 7? Book
one.
8?
think it's like, is it 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, or 9, 10,
Okay.
11?
So even if they do 2 books next season, if they get a next season, and even if they do
Right.
2 books next season, we're not even close to
I think those 3 books you could combine into 1 season very easily,
very
like,
easily.
and I'm not, like, being jokey or anything, like, I think that would be very possible, um, but yeah, I would say, like, the major things that happen will need to be, like, moving forward to season 4, maybe some, like, smaller moments from book 5, probably not, like, a ton, and then, like, it leading up to the climax ending of book 6, which is probably regarded as, like, one of the fan favorite moments of the entire
Oh,
series.
so let's try not to get canceled before season 5.
Yeah, Amazon better step it up. There's gonna be a lot of sad people if they don't get, Lord of Chaos, Do My as Wells, end of book 6. But yeah, we'll we'll see. We'll see, you never know. Alright. Thanks again. It's always a pleasure. We'll see you next time.
Alright, thank you.